A locked flat. A padlocked bag. And a man who vanished without ever leaving home. On the 23rd of August, 2010, police broke into a quiet flat in Pimlico, central London. They were looking for a missing man. What they found inside would baffle Scotland Yard, MI6, and the entire country for over a decade. Curled inside a red North Face holder, zipped shut and padlocked from the outside, was the naked body of Gareth Williams. He was 80 years old. He was a maths genius. And he was a codebreaker for Britain's most secretive intelligence services. There was no cause of death. No injuries. No forced entry. No fingerprints. Just a locked door, a locked bag, and a locked mystery that remains unsolved to this day. This is the story of the spy in the bag. Gareth Williams was born in Anglesey, North Wales, the son of two schoolteachers. From a young age, it was obvious he was gifted. He passed his maths A level at just 13. By 17, he had a first-class degree in mathematics. He went on to study at Cambridge and Manchester, quietly collecting qualifications most people would spend a lifetime chasing. His talent didn't go unnoticed. GCHQ, the government's intelligence and cybersecurity agency, recruited him in Cheltenham. Gareth thrived there. He was brilliant with codes, brilliant with numbers, and reportedly uncomfortable with attention. Colleagues described him as shy, private, a man who preferred cycling and long-distance running to socializing. In 2009, on secondment, Gareth moved to London to work for MI6 based at the agency's Vauxhall Cross headquarters. He was given a flat in Alderney Street, Pimlico, modest, unassuming, just half a mile from the building where he worked. Friends say he wasn't entirely happy with the move. He missed Wales. He missed his bike rides. He was, by every account, planning to return to Cheltenham. He never got the chance. By mid-August 2010, Gareth had stopped showing up to work. Colleagues assumed he was on leave. Days passed. No one raised the alarm, not immediately. For an intelligence officer, unexplained absences were sometimes normal. But after more than a week of silence, concern finally took over. On the 23rd of August, police were sent to check on him. They forced entry into the flat. Nothing seemed disturbed. The place was tidy. Almost too tidy. There was no sign of a break-in, no struggle, nothing knocked over. Then, in the bath, inside the ensuite bathroom of his own bedroom, officers found a large red holder. It was zipped shut. It was padlocked. And inside it was Gareth. He was naked. The bag had been locked from the outside, and the key to that padlock was found underneath his own body, inside the bag with him. Investigators would later determine that decomposition meant he had likely been there for around 2 weeks. 2 weeks inside his own flat undiscovered. There were no visible injuries. No signs of a struggle. No trace of how or why a healthy 31-year-old man ended up locked inside a bag barely big enough to hold him. The post-mortem was inconclusive. No definitive cause of death was ever established. Forensic teams scoured the flat for fingerprints, for DNA, for anything that could explain what had happened. They found almost nothing. No prints on the bag. No prints on the bath. It was, detectives said, as if the scene had been deliberately, professionally wiped clean. That detail alone raised eyebrows. Gareth wasn't just any man. He worked for Miche. His colleagues were spies. And in the hours after his body was discovered, according to reporting at the time, the head of MI6 personally met with Britain's most senior police officer to discuss the case. Detectives interviewed roughly 40 intelligence officers. They examined whether Gareth's work, believed to involve cybersecurity and code breaking, could have made him a target. They looked into a mysterious Mediterranean couple reportedly seen visiting his flat in the weeks before his death, a couple police believed may have had a set of keys, and who were never conclusively traced. Meanwhile, investigators also uncovered a far more private side of Gareth's life. He had visited bondage-related websites. He owned tens of thousands of pounds worth of women's designer clothing and wigs, neatly stored, never worn in public. Police released e-fit images of a couple they wanted to trace, believing someone else had helped him, willingly or not, into that bag. By 2012, the inquest concluded. Coroner Fiona Wilcox ruled Gareth's death was unnatural and likely to have been criminally mediated, in plain terms, that someone else was probably involved. But she admitted the fundamental questions of how and why remained unanswered and might never be solved. A year later, in 2013, a fresh Metropolitan Police review reached a strikingly different conclusion: no evidence of third-party involvement. Their theory was that Gareth had locked himself inside the bag alone, as part of some private, high-risk act, and had accidentally suffocated when he couldn't escape. Two official inquiries. Two very different answers. The lack of resolution is exactly what has kept this case alive for over a decade. One theory holds that Gareth's death was accidental, a solo escapology exercise, a bondage game gone catastrophically wrong, with no one else in the room. Experts who study these cases point out that self-bondage practitioners have died in similarly strange, contorted circumstances before. Another theory insists that's simply impossible. Escapology experts consulted during the investigation reportedly attempted to lock themselves inside an identical bag from the outside and could not do it. If professionals couldn't replicate the act, how could Gareth have done it alone, in the dark, without leaving a single fingerprint behind? Then there's the espionage theory, the one that refuses to die. Gareth worked in cybersecurity for two of Britain's most secretive agencies. Some have speculated his death was connected to sensitive work, possibly involving foreign intelligence services. His family's lawyer told the inquest they believed a third party had either caused his death or removed evidence afterwards, someone, in his words, skilled in the dark arts of the secret services. Adding to the intrigue, friends later revealed Gareth had reportedly been given a new identity in the months before he died, and was said to be preparing for undercover work. He had two passports. He was due to travel to Paris with his sister just 2 days after he was found. Was it a private life kept carefully hidden, ending in a tragic accident? Or was it something far darker, a professional operation designed to look like nothing at all? In 2021, more than a decade on, the Metropolitan Police confirmed they were reviewing the case again, citing new forensic possibilities, including advances in DNA profiling that might finally extract fresh information from a single hair recovered at the scene. To this day, no one has ever been arrested. No one has ever been charged. and the man who spent his career solving other people's codes left behind the one code nobody has ever managed to crack. Gareth Williams was a brilliant, quiet man who devoted his life to secrets and in the end became one himself. Whether his death was a private tragedy or something engineered by forces far beyond an ordinary flat in Pimlico, we may never know for certain. What we do know is this: somewhere in that locked bag, in that locked flat, in that locked case file, the truth is still waiting. If you found this case as chilling and unresolved as we did, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell because we cover Britain's most haunting unsolved mysteries every single week. Let us know in the comments, accident or something far more sinister. We read every single one.